Harper Audio presents Exile's Return by Raymond E Feist, read by Peter Joyce. Conclave of Shadows, Book 3. May see thee now, though late, redeem thy name, and glorify what else is damned to fame. Richard Savage, Character of Foster. Chapter 1. Captive. The riders came at him. Kaspar, who had until the day before held the title of Duke of Olasko, waited, holding his chains ready. Moments before he had been deposited on this dusty plain by a tall, white-haired magician who, with only a few words of farewell, had vanished, leaving the exiled nobleman to face an approaching band of nomads. Kaspar had never felt this alive and vitalized. He grinned, took a deep breath, and flexed his knees. The riders were fanning out, and Kaspar knew they judged him a risk, even though he stood alone, barefoot, and without any weapon, save for heavy chains with manacles and leggings attached to each end. The riders slowed. Kaspar counted 6 of them. They wore alien garments, loose-fitting outer robes of indigo over white blouses, belted at the waist with whipcord. Ballooning trousers were tucked into black leather boots. Their heads were covered by wrapped turbans, with a length of cloth left hanging on the right. Kaspar judged that this could be quickly raised to cover mouth and nose against a sudden dust storm or to hide identity. The clothing looked less like a uniform than tribal garb, he decided, and they carried a variety of lethal-looking weapons. The leader spoke in a language Kaspar didn't understand, though there was something oddly familiar about it. Kaspar replied, "I don't suppose there's the remotest chance you speak Alaskan." The man Kaspar had identified as the leader said something to his companions, made a gesture, then sat back to watch. 2 men dismounted and approached Kaspar, drawing weapons. A third, behind them, unwound a leather cord, with which he obviously intended to bind their new captive. Kaspar let his chains drop slightly and slumped his shoulders, as if acknowledging the inevitability of his circumstances. From the manner in which they approached, Kaspar knew 2 things. These were experienced fighting men, tough, sunburned plainsmen who probably lived in tents, and they were not trained soldiers. One glance gave Kaspar the one fact he needed to make his decision on how to act. None of the 3 men still on horseback had drawn a bow. Kaspar allowed the man with the leather bindings to approach, and then, at the last instant, he kicked out, taking the man in the chest. That man was the least dangerous of the 3 at hand. Kaspar then swung his chains, releasing an end at the same instant, and the swordsman on his right, who had judged himself out of Kaspar's reach, was slammed across the face with the makeshift weapon. Kaspar heard bone crack. The man went down silently. The other swordsman was quick to react, raising his sword and shouting something, an insult, battle cry, or prayer to a god. Kaspar didn't know which. All the former duke knew was that he had perhaps 3 or 4 seconds to live. Instead of moving away from the attacker, Kaspar threw himself at the man, coming up hard against him as the sword fell through empty air. He got his shoulder under the man's armpit, and the momentum of the missed blow carried the nomad over Kaspar's shoulder. Kaspar's powerful arms pushed up hard, and the man spun through the air, landing hard upon the ground. The breath seemed to explode out of his body, and Kaspar suspected he might have cracked his spine. Kaspar sensed more than saw that 2 archers were unlimbering their bows, so he sprang forward, and with a diving shoulder roll came to his feet, holding the closest man's sword. The nomad who had held the binding leather was trying to come to his feet.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?